The A&A Corvette C6 Supercharger installation is finally underway. Step one was to back the C5 out of the shop and spend a few minutes with an air hose blowing off the entire top of the engine and the engine bay, especially the areas around the fuel injectors, because we don't want any debris dropping inside when they're removed to install the new larger injectors that come with the kit. Step two was to get the C6 up in the air a little bit. I'll be using the 2-post lift, but you can absolutely do this with a floor jack and a set of 4 quality jack stands. I use these sheets because I can throw them in the wash and wash them so I don't have dirt underneath them on my fenders. I like to make sure I've got good lighting so I can see what I'm doing. I leave the driver window cracked so I can manually open up the cabin because the battery is going to be disconnected. And so those are the first things I like to take care of. For disconnecting the battery, I simply remove the negative cable and set it aside. It's also a smart idea to remove the fuse for the fuel pump just in case the battery gets reconnected at any time while we have the fuel injectors out of the rail. For this job, the first thing I'm going to be doing is removing the fast LSXR 102 intake manifold and putting back on the stock LS2 intake for several reasons. Number one, because I sold the fast LSXR intake, and the reason I did that is because anecdotally, people have said that they have cracked the fast intake when applying boost with a turbocharger or a supercharger. And I don't want to risk a $1,200 intake manifold when the LS2 intake will work just perfectly fine. Why does it work perfectly fine? Because even though it doesn't flow nearly as well as this intake, if it doesn't have enough horsepower with the factory LS2 intake, all I have to do is turn up the boost just a little bit by putting on a smaller supercharger pulley, and that boost will force the air through the intake manifold. So fortunately, I kept the box from the fast intake, and I've kept the LS2 intake in here. Everything is packaged really nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the fast intake and the injectors, reinstall the LS2 intake, and the new 80-pound fuel injectors in place of these stock ones, which are, I think, around 34-pound injectors. I already did a full install video for this manifold. It's up in your right-hand corner. So for this, I'm just going to show a time lapse, and I'll stop it if there's anything notable that I want to point out. I'll be keeping the LS3, LS7 style card mass airflow sensor because I'll be reusing that with the supercharger. This little clip on the fuel injector let loose while I was depressing it, so I'll have to buy a couple of these. Otherwise, this can fall off at any time, and so you don't want to leave that. And on this side, I broke another one of the fuel injector connector clips, so that's 2 out of 8. And that's the kind of thing that when you're doing a job like this, it's going to take more time to splice that in, and it's just things that you have to account for on a 20-plus-year-old car. I'm going to go ahead and remove the fuel pressure from the rail as best I can by connecting my fuel pressure gauge. I like to cover this with some sort of cloth as well to make sure that nothing gets inside there. Don't skip this part. If you get dirt and debris in there, you're going to clog injectors. It's easy to do. Just cover them and zip tie them and they'll stay clean. To remove the rail, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 screws to remove, and then we'll just pop the rail off. When we start pulling the intake off, The vacuum booster hose is connected to the back of the intake, and my mitts are too big to get back there. So I always take this off here and I kind of fish this hose out so that it's not getting caught up on all the stuff in here. So I'll do that now, and then we'll be taking these bolts out and these bolts out to pop the intake off and slide it forward just a little bit. And then, so this vacuum line from the brake booster is kind of tangled up around the oil pressure sensor. So we'll remove this right here carefully, hopefully. There we go. Now we can lift the hose up over the oil pressure sending unit. I've got the original intake ready to go on the car as soon as some new intake gaskets show up in a couple of days. Next, I'm going to take care of something super simple and replace the spark plugs with the TR6 plugs that come with the kit. First, I'll make sure they're all gapped properly to 35 thousandths of an inch. I'll apply a tiny bit of anti-seize, and then I'll torque them down to about 11 pound-feet into the head. And now just go ahead and do the same exact thing for all 8 spark plugs. Next, let's remove the plastic radiator hold down, and that starts with removing 2 10mm screws on each side, and then just pulling these hoses out of the clips that are built into the radiator hold down. Next, I'm going to remove the front fascia. And to do that, I'm going to start with these screws right across the front here, and then we'll lift it up in the air and get some underneath. In the passenger side wheel well, we've got a bunch of these little push pins to remove to get this panel off, which we're going to need to get off. So I'm just going to remove them all right now. And basically, you just grab them like this and give them a little pull, and they come out. Don't cut them off though. Got a whole bunch of pins on the ground, and as you can see, this thing is ready to pop off. I've just got a few more things to get from underneath, and then I'll also do the same thing to the driver's side. And we've got the driver's side clips removed as well. So now it's time to go underneath. On the air dam here, we've got a few more screws to take out, and of course the passenger side. And underneath, we've got another screw there, and we'll take off the air dam in the front as well. So they all got to go. Again, underneath the driver's side, just disconnect this running light, and then the side marker has to come off. You just push these clips in, and it just comes out like this. That way we can take out these 2 nuts right there. 1, 2. Not that one right there. There are these clips right here that hold this edge down. They can be a little tricky. This one came out pretty easy by prying up. This side was more of a bear, and I ended up inserting very, very carefully a very thin putty knife to get in here and wiggle, because you don't want to, if you force this, it's probably going to break. So I didn't scratch any paint. This is very thin. Carefully got in here and applied a little pressure while I was lifting up on this edge right here. That's why you need an assistant. Now always go really slow. Look at what's going on. Never pull too hard. In hindsight, I should have just disconnected this with the front fascia. And to do that, all I would have had to do is remove these 4 clips. There's 2 right here and 2 on this side. So I'm going to pull those 4 off. This would have came off with the front fascia. And to get these off in a way that you can reuse them, it's handy to have a tool like this, which is made for this. And these are pretty inexpensive. You can find them on Amazon or even Menards. And here's a better look at these clips that I was telling you about. And then also, you know, these cars are 20 years old. If it's ever been in a front end collision and they didn't do the repair right, This high density foam is going to be probably all bashed in, and you'll see evidence in here that you've had a collision. Thankfully, I don't see any such evidence. I also applied tape around these edges, and I did that to kind of protect it from getting scratched up. Now, one thing about masking tape, it only takes, like a week or so for it to start leaving residue and being hard to remove. So I'm just going to take it off right now before it has a chance to do that. And of course, spend the 3 cents on a Ziploc bag and put all of the fasteners for the fascia in one bag so you don't confuse them with other fasteners. With all of that stuff removed, we can remove this inner shielding that directs air into the condenser and the radiator. I've got the air temperature sensor down there below that I have to unplug. There should be a little push pin from the bottom right there and right there that we remove. And then this thing should drop out from the bottom. And then for this inner shroud that we're trying to get off, there's one more clip right here that just pops off and one right there as well. And now both of those are out. So this should be able to drop down and come out. Since we have the fuel injectors and the rail off, let's go ahead and swap in the new 80-pound Bosch injectors. Step 1 is to carefully remove the retaining clips from all 8 injectors and set them aside. Step 2 is to remove the injectors from the rail. Some may be stubborn, but give them a little twist as you tug on them and they should pop out. Keep the old injectors in a safe, clean spot as you may need them for a future LS project, or you could sell them on eBay if you want to recoup some funds. Some fuel will leak out of the rail, so please don't set yourself on fire. Step 3 is to carefully grab your new injectors and put a few drops of oil on the O-ring that will be going into the fuel rail. Next, simply shove it in until it is fully seated. Then grab one of the retaining clips and slide it into the little grooves that are in the side of each injector. The clip should make a light snapping sound as it locks into place, and if you have them on correctly, the clip should make it so the injector cannot pop out of the fuel rail. Repeat the same process for all 8 injectors. So the intake manifold gaskets showed up, so I went ahead and reinstalled the intake manifold after thoroughly cleaning it, especially the ports where the fuel injectors go. And now we can reinstall the fuel rail with the new injectors. Simply give all of the O-rings a couple of drops of oil, and then line them all up with their respective holes in the intake manifold and pop them into place. Then snug up the 4 bolts holding the rail to the manifold to about 89 inch-pounds. And while we are at it, there's no reason not to clean up the throttle body with a little wire brush. Looks almost like new. And I went ahead and fixed the connectors for the fuel injectors that you saw were broken earlier. This little clip on the fuel injector let loose while I was depressing it, so I'll have to buy a couple of these. Here's what you get. Here's 2 of them. I bought a pack of 4, and here's how they were installed. First, I line up the connectors so they are in the same orientation, and then I cut one of the wires for each in a staggered pattern, so if they ever were to poke a hole through my shrink wrap, they would be less likely to short each other out. Then I strip the ends of the wire, insert a short piece of heat shrink tubing over the wire so it's ready to go, and then solder the ends together, and then heat the shrink tubing to seal it up. Now it's as good as new, and so is the other broken one.